Hello everyone, welcome to the theory lecture for week 6. Today we're going to be looking at graphical user interfaces. So my name is Joel. I think I've met most of you already, but I studied English literature and I'm now studying a postgraduate certificate of TESOL. And Mona Lisa is my supervisor. I'm going to be teaching the lessons for the next few weeks for English 3. Okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to start with a warm-up and then we're going to do a review. We're going to look at what graphical user interfaces or GUIs are. And then we're going to do some language work on infinitives and verbs of permission and assistance. Okay, so for our warm-up, to be or not to be? That is the question. So these are two famous lines from William Shakespeare's play Hamlet. Now, I've highlighted here the infinitives in the lines. Okay, so we have two infinitives here. Now, I want you to write your own version of the lines in response to IT, information technology. So I've made up these lines here to click or to double click. It's an adventure. Okay, so this is just meant to be a bit of fun and to warm us up. I want you to comment your lines in this YouTube video, okay? Now, once you've commented your lines, I want you to find one of your classmates' responses, and then I want you to comment on your classmate's response. So, if this was one of my classmates' responses, I could then comment on their response, and I might say to adventure or to sleep. Sleep is my answer. Okay, so here's a link to the speech in Hamlet. And here is William Shakespeare. All right, so let's review last week's lesson on operating systems. So I want you to write a sentence that communicates something about your favorite operating system, OS. Use a preposition and an ing verb, a gerund, in your sentence. Now, for this one, I want you to message your sentence to one of your classmates. You can message it to them on WhatsApp, or you can text them, or you could even call them on the phone and read them your sentence. Okay? And then I want you to say something about a sentence if one of your classmates messages you theirs. All right. So what is a graphical user interface? All right, a graphical user interface is the program that allows us to interact with the software and hardware on our computer. So there are a few different kinds of graphical user interfaces. One of the most popular is the Windows system, and there's also Apple, and on phones there's Android. Okay, so here I have some questions. What graphical user interface do you have on your computer or smartphone? Was the GUI part of the reason you bought that computer or smartphone? I want you to think about your answer, and we're going to discuss it in the practicum session. So on my computer, I have the Windows graphical user interface, and I guess I bought my computer because I've always used Windows and I'm very familiar and comfortable with it. So it was the easy choice for me to buy a Windows computer. All right. Now, after today's lecture, or maybe now if you haven't already, you can pause the video and do today's reading, okay? And come back to the video, or I guess you could do it after. But it's very important to read the reading for today because we're going to discuss the ideas from the reading in the practicum session. All right. So here we have our list of vocabulary for this week. Okay. Now, a window is a part of the Windows application. So whenever I click on an icon, these are the icons here, it will open a new window. Okay. Now, if I click on the start button, I will get a menu. Okay. The system tray is this part down here with different functions. The taskbar is here. So we have the start button and some different applications there. A submenu is the different options on the menu. This is the desktop, and a button is like the button on a mouse that we click. Okay, so make sure you're familiar with all the vocabulary for this week. All right, so here's some more questions to get us started. So I want you to study the Windows desktop and answer these questions about its features. So what does the Start button let you do? Okay. How do you delete files permanently? Which feature lets you see which files are stored on your PC? Okay, so once again, I want you to think about your answers to these questions, and in the practicum session, we're going to discuss your answers. All right, here we have some information about the computer desktop. So, File Explorer My Computer. This lets you browse the files stored on your PC. Move the mouse pointer over the icon and double-click the left mouse button, and a new window will open with the File Explorer interface. Here, you can navigate to see your hard disk. On all versions of Windows, you can also press the Windows key plus E key on your keyboard and File Explorer will open. The Internet Connection Wizard, helps you get on the Internet. You may also have an icon for the Microsoft Network, an Internet service you can subscribe to. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce the words that we're going to be using today for our grammar. New displays and tools in graphical user interfaces are designed to make your computing tasks easier. We use the same verbs for using these displays and tools as we use for giving permission and assistance. These verbs are often used to describe such interactions: allow, enable, help, let, and permit. All right. So here is just some information that I want you to read over in your own time. Now, I think you should know most of this already, but maybe there's a few new things. So a bare infinitive is an infinitive with the two missing, but it still follows all the rules of an infinitive. Okay? And the object of a sentence can be a noun or a noun group. So a noun group is a group of words that works together as a noun. So in this sentence here, I will let you take a rest. We have the subject I. We have the verbs will and let. And you take a rest is our object. So this collection of words here is a noun group. Okay. So let's go to our language work. Let is used as a verb in this structure. Verb or verbs plus bare infinitive as part of object. Allow, enable, and permit are used as verbs in this structure. Verb or verbs plus to infinitive as part of object. And help can be used with either structure. Okay, so let's look at two examples. A GUI lets you to icons and click a mouse button to execute a task. Okay, take a moment now to try to think of the answer. You can pause the video. All right. And our answer is a GUI lets you point to icons and click a mouse button to execute a task. Okay, so remember when we use let's and when we use help, we don't need to have a to infinitive. But of course, help can be used either with a to infinitive or with a bare infinitive. Okay, so let's look at example 2. A GUI allows you a computer without knowing any operating system commands. Okay, a GUI allows you to use a computer without knowing any operating system commands. Okay, so when we use the word allows or enable or permit, we need to use the to infinitive. We need to have the word to without infinitive. Okay. All right, so we have some practice questions now. And this week, I want you to email me the answers for your practice questions and for a final task question that will come up soon. All right, so for this one, you just need to write the correct infinitive. Is it the bare infinitive or the to infinitive form of the verb here? All right. For this practice, you need to identify the errors in the sentence. All right. So is the error in A, B, C, or D? Okay. Now, when we use a computer, we can either be said to be using it informally or formally. So here we have some informal computer users. So if we're using our computer at home on our bed, or if we're using our computers in a park with some friends, we're using the computer informally. Now here we have some formal computer users. So if we're using a computer in a business meeting, or if we're using it to do work in an office, then we are a formal computer user. Okay. The words for today, some are more informal and some are more formal. The word help is most informal. So I might use the word help if I'm asking my friend to help me use the taskbar. Okay. Permit is most formal. So I might use the word permit if I'm talking to my boss at work. Okay. Allow is between formal and informal. So we can use allow in a formal or an informal setting. And let is a bit more formal than help. And enable is a bit less formal than permit. So for practice 3, I want you to put the words into the context of these sentences. So some contexts are less formal than others. So where do the words, each of these words, where do they fit in the context of these sentences? Okay, here's the final task. Okay, you've just got to make a sentence using the vocabulary. Now, remember to email me your answers. Okay, here's my email address. And if you need any help, you can message me on WhatsApp. All right, so our next video is going to be interview former students next week. And here's our reference. And thank you very much for your time today. And I'll see you in the practicum session on Tuesday.